This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
Hello, and welcome back to another show, Retirement Keys. My name's Anthony Congemi with Crescent City Retirement Group, and we have our fabulous co-host that we have every week with us, Tony Shore. We couldn't do the show without you, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that. That's nice of you to say, and it's fun doing the show with you every week. I learn something from you each and every week, Anthony, and we go over a lot of important financial topics, and that's a good thing. I'm doing great because I took a few days off last week, actually, and I had to go to Nashville to see my cousin, and that was good. And did you know that the famous New Orleans breakfast place, the Ruby Slipper, which I love, that has great Eggs Benedict, the owners opened a place in Franklin, Tennessee, near Nashville, called Ruby Sunshine or Ruby Sunrise. But it's the same owner, same deal. The food is just as good. It's incredible. So,
did you get the Eggs Benedict?
I got the Eggs Benedict. In fact, they have a number of different kinds of Eggs Benedict. They have an Eggs Benedict with a pulled pork on it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Probably some of the best food I've ever eaten. I love that place. I love it. And when I was there hanging out with you in New Orleans, of course, I love the Ruby Slipper too. So, yep, the Eggs Benedict. If you like Eggs Benedict, I've never eaten better Eggs Benedict anywhere in my life ever. So,
well, that's awesome. So Nashville's a nice town. I know I used to spend time out there. They have, of course, the Grand Ole Opry Hotel. I don't know
beautiful.
If you got a chance to visit it, but I know during the holidays especially, it's really beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful year-round. And I used to live in Nashville for about 6 years, so I did radio promotions for record companies there, and so that was a lot of fun. So I went back to, and my cousin Mike, he still lives there, and so visited him and a couple other friends. So that was fun. Well, what are we talking about on the show today?
Well, Tony, we're going to be talking about the 8 ways to recession-proof your finances. According to experts, it's going to be nicely laid out, some common sense ideas that our listeners may be able to adopt right now to measure whether their own finances are ready to battle the next downturn. So that's going to kind of be key here.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a timely topic, an important one. I would think a healthy number of our listeners out there have, they've been dealing with this and worried about recent events, the near-term economy and how it might impact their personal finances, right?
Absolutely, Tony. Plenty of people out there enduring some financial anxiety right now, but like we always say, it's economies like the one we're dealing with right now that tend to show us the true power of a financial strategy that's both wide-ranging and has the ability to adapt quickly to changing circumstances, if the need should arise. BusinessInsider.com article, 8 Ways to Recession-Proof Your Finances, nicely lays out some of the common sense ideas that our listeners may be able to adopt right now to measure whether they uh, need to make any adjustments to their battle plan in the next downturn. Tony, the first suggestion is probably going to resonate with a lot of people. It's and of course we talk a lot about this, but getting rid of debt. A major element of recession proofing your finances is ensuring you have enough cash flow. Obviously, if your expenses are outpacing your income, then that's a problem, of course.
What do you think are some good ways for people to tighten up their budgets a bit?
Well, one potential starting point is creating two distinct lists. For one for your fixed expenses, and another for your optional expenses. When you look at those lists, it becomes easier to really roll up your sleeves and figure out what you need versus what you want. And when you see exactly how much money you need to keep the heat on, it might make an easier swallow hard and give up streaming services, even if it's temporary. So, looking at the list of the things that you have to have, versus the things that you would like. And then really separating those two items. Not that you have to give up the things that you like, but let's start with the mandatory things, of course, things that have to get done. And then let's see what's left over to be able to do some of those other things on the would like to list, if you will.
Right. the things I'd like to do, maybe at some point. And, I like a good binge watch as much as the next person, but given the choice between, being able to run the air conditioner and a streaming service, I think I'd take the AC. What do you have next for us?
Well, the next one is about making sure you keep filling up your emergency fund. If you find yourself out of a job, or if your hours or salary get cut, an emergency fund may make a tremendous amount of difference. My personal advice to people is to have between 3 and 6 months worth of living expenses set aside. I understand that such a move can be a tall order for many people, but to me, it's a goal worth working toward, having that cash on hand or that emergency fund. And, if you can get 3 to 6 months just sitting on the sidelines there, that gives you really the confidence if you get downsized, or if you want to look for better employment or a different job, and there's some gap in your income, you always have that emergency fund to fall back on.
Yeah, and I also think people need to remember that when you switch jobs, there may be a gap between your last paycheck from your old company and your first paycheck from your new company. So that's another situation where that emergency fund might come into play in that type of situation.
Absolutely. You're right there with I'm right there with you, Tony. Another thing to consider is it might be wise for people to be proactive when it comes to networking. Even if you love your current job, you never know what the future might have waiting for you. So keep meeting new people in your field, share expertise, and learn from the experiences of others. To me, it's a way of building friendships and professional relationships that may one day prove very valuable. I know they have even these social media sites, Tony, like LinkedIn.
Yep.
And other sites where people with like-minded interests, or or similar careers or career paths are all there on these social media sites. And it's a great way to just reach out and connect with some of these folks. How are they doing, and what's going on with them, and then introducing yourself, and just having that network of folks out there that you never know. I mean, you never know what comes up. So putting your hat in the ring, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you do love your current job and you're thriving in it, who's to say somebody from that professional network or your network of friends might not present you with an opportunity for advancement that's too good to pass up? Well, and you know what? We should probably take a quick break here. Do you have anything for our listeners before we do?
Well, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. I know that we've really, over the last 5-6 months, have been some real unique times that we've all experienced, very challenging times for a lot of us. And I just want to thank you for tuning in and being such a loyal listener to our show, Retirement Keys. As you know, we are strong advocates for retirement planning. We think that a well-designed plan is the key to a stress-free retirement. So we want to thank you for tuning in and listening, and we look forward to you joining us in the next segment.
Yeah, it sounds great. And listeners, stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more of the Retirement Keys and our host, Anthony Congemi, right after this.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Congemi of Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering a complimentary gourmet dinner and retirement planning workshop, the 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. This is one workshop you won't want to miss. Call in the next 20 minutes for this no-cost offer. Seating is limited. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and our host is Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. And Anthony, great show today, talking about ways to position our finances to be able to weather the difficulties that often come with economic downturns and recessions, as we've been seeing lately. And I think going through our financial strategy, or our listeners out there taking a look at their financial strategy to find areas that might need an adjustment or two, or even an overhaul, I think that's a good move even in the best of times, let alone right now. What's the next piece of information you have for us?
Well, the next thing, Tony, that really jumped out at me in that article I mentioned, businessinsider.com, the title of the article, again, is 8 Ways to Recession-Proof Your Finances, according to the experts, is finding a little extra work to boost your bottom line. A part-time second job, especially if you find one you really enjoy, could really help your finances stand out against a difficult economy. Additionally, if you lose your primary job or if it gets cut back in some way, you'll have some degree of peace of mind knowing you still have your second job to rely on for income. So this is also, I think, a great tip in the article that it points out that, a lot of times you can do that, get involved in something that maybe is a little more, maybe part of your passion or part of your enjoyment, the things that you love to do. And maybe there's some things that you can do to earn money in that regard. Part-time, I don't know. I mean, maybe you enjoy music. I mean, maybe you like to be a DJ, or maybe, you love. And so maybe you want to work in landscaping as part-time type work or whatever, but the idea is that having some part-time work a lot of times, especially in this economy and with this unknown, if you will, if you find yourself in a position where, hey, is my job how stable is my job right now? Or is it a good idea to try to get some extra part-time work? There's a lot out there if you just look around, Tony.
Yeah, there is. And I think that's an interesting point, Anthony. And as you said, a second job doesn't necessarily mean you have to do something that's going to feel like something that's exhausting to you. There are probably opportunities out there to find a second job doing something you genuinely enjoy. So what do you have for us next?
Well, let's take a moment to discuss diversifying your portfolio for a minute, which in my eyes is critical. Many of us have probably heard horror stories of people who lost gigantic chunks of money during downturns because they overinvested in single sectors or categories in the stock market. Diversification is key, in my opinion. Finding a balance using traditional investment tools like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and index funds funds and exchange traded funds, but really having some good diversification, Tony. And, this next quarter, I think, and leading up to the election, we probably will experience some real volatile moves in the market. Now, of course, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't say that for sure. But it's my personal opinion that we probably will see some volatility, some volatility as we've seen over the last 3 or 4 months. And so with that said, kind of hedge proofing that by diversification and trying to protect more of that portfolio through diversification can be really just be a real lifesaver, Tony. It really can be.
Yeah, I can see where it would. And I think this is a good time to remind our listeners that when it comes to making sure your portfolio and your finances are balanced and able to handle an economic downturn, as well as your future retirement, working with a financial professional, a trusted professional like yourself, Anthony, can make a world of difference. Building a financial strategy can be a tricky endeavor, so why go it alone, right?
Absolutely, Tony. And that we subscribe to the red money, green money philosophy. As a matter of fact, in our book, Retirement Keys, we have a whole chapter dedicated to the red money, green money strategy. And as you know, the green money is the safe money. And so really, when we consider a balance between red and green, we want to make sure that we have our green money or our safe money allocated in a way that really is protected from the market downside. So if the market drops, we may not make anything, but we don't lose anything. And but having that green money side protected, especially getting really close to retirement or in retirement and needing those funds for, let's say, income in the future, or having that money for emergencies, having that green money side, that safe money side is so important to any investment strategy or retirement plan, Tony.
Right. And that's key right there. I think that's important. It's good to have a plan and work with a professional like yourself. And, it reminds me of that investment philosophy that a lot of us have probably heard before. Don't get too high and don't get too low. Just stay the course.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, Tony, that phrase, stay the course, because staying the course is actually my next discussion point. After you've worked hard to build your financial strategy that works for you, you shouldn't allow yourself to become easily scared away from that strategy. So once you have your red money and your green money, your investment strategy, and maybe your red money, you're in blue chip stocks and you're reinvesting dividends or you're rebalancing every quarter, and all of the different things that you have in place to maintain your investment portfolio and your retirement plan. Trust it. Trust the plan. Don't every time there's a correction, all of a sudden you start second guessing your plan. Your plan should consider a correction. Your plan should have correction built into it, and so it shouldn't derail your retirement just because we have a market pullback. We should expect that. And so having the appropriate plan, having that liquidity, having that structured income, and having that growth portfolio, and having a strategy for your retirement. Because let's face it, Tony, people might retire in their early 60s or mid 60s on average, and they could go 30 years in retirement. So, think about that. A third of a person's life could be spent never earning another paycheck, a third of their life. So within that third of their life in retirement, presumably, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in the stock market. So not having an investment strategy in place and just hoping that the next 30 years are going to be all roses in the market is let's face it, it's just not probable. It's not reality. So we need an investment strategy that works, Tony. And so I would just encourage our listeners, if you don't have a formal retirement plan, and as you know, we when we say formal retirement retirement plan, we're really talking about 5 key elements: estate and legacy planning, an investment strategy, as we're discussing now, an income plan, a health care plan, and a tax strategy. Those 5 key elements, Tony. And if you don't have that, by all means, take advantage of this special offer. I want to make an offer to you, and I hope you take advantage of it. If you do have a retirement plan and you would just like a second opinion or make a comparison between the plan you have and the plans that we would recommend and suggest based on your situation and your income needs and your family dynamics, take a minute and look at some options out there, Tony. It could save you so much grief, not only for yourself and your family, if you don't have that formal plan. So take advantage of this offer.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Kangemi with Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering our 3-step retirement planning process at no cost and a $100 gift card to the restaurant of your choice upon completion of the planning process. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Kangemi. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. And Anthony, great show today. We've been talking about ways to build a financial strategy that will offer you some degree of protection from economic downturns. And right now, that's hugely important. Good discussion so far. Anthony, what do you have next for us?
Well, Tony, for the rest of today's show, I thought it might be a good idea to switch gears just slightly and focus entirely on retirement in today's economy. A recent article from Motley Fool, "Retirement Concerns Are Booming Because of COVID-19" is the title of the article. And let me just say that again. It's a Motley Fool article, and the title is "Retirement Concerns Are Booming Because of COVID-19." Does a nice job of detailing how people are retired or nearing retirement may be able to ease some of their worries in our current environment. So it's really a great article, Tony.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for us to talk about this. So let's jump in.
Well, the first thing that people may want to consider about retirement, Tony, is to really assess their retirement portfolio. And as you probably guessed, the closer you get to retirement, the more it becomes important to move some of those assets, a potential less risky investments that may not be susceptible to market swings. And that gets back to the red money and green money. As we get closer to retirement or in retirement, we really need to pay attention to, hey, this is the percentage of my retirement assets that are safe from market swings. This is the percentage that is subject to market swings. And really, having a very definite plan for that, Tony, not just, what we think or what we hope, but a real strategic way of saying what percentage is safe and what percentage is going to have more volatility.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's an interesting point. So what do you have for us next?
Well, I think it's important for people to not get too obsessive about checking their portfolios, which I admit may seem a little counterintuitive. But the reality is the stock market can have a strong week followed by a poor week and vice versa. So these ebbs and flows are why it may not be wise to check your 401k or IRA balances every day. In fact, it's possible if you check your balances every day, you might make hasty decisions about selling an investment when it's down, which just means you guaranteed that loss. if you waited a bit, the market may recover enough to make a sale unwise. So to me, the best course of action is not to constantly check your portfolio. Have a good investment strategy, have a good plan. As I mentioned before, if you reinvest in dividends and rebalance in quarterly, then all of the dividends are buying. It's a dollar cost averaging strategy. Even in the ups and downs, we're buying into those shares, additional shares. I mean, there's all sorts of strategies to put in place here to take advantage of this. But, just looking at it every day and then making these quick decisions, oh gosh, that's down, let me sell it and let me go buy the thing that's up. And then the next week, the thing that was up is down and the thing you sold is up. So, that's no way, that's no investment strategy. Okay. That's just a little neurotic and not having a solid plan. And that's really what you need, a good retirement plan and a good investment strategy to really go into retirement and all through retirement. And as I mentioned before, it's not just investments. It's also the taxes, also health care, also estate planning, and the foundation of it all is income planning, where you want to maximize your income sources like Social Security, for instance. So, Tony, a well-rounded plan, a good, well-thought-out retirement plan is key. And I would just encourage our listeners to take advantage of our offer. Call us at 504-828-2171. Go to crescentcityretirement.com. Incidentally, every Tuesday we do Topical Tuesday, which is a webinar we do every Tuesday on all sorts of topics from caregiver training to security issues, security issues, online security topics, and all the rest of it. But I would just encourage our listeners, have a plan, have a solid retirement plan, take advantage of our offer.
All right. And that does it for today's episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Anthony Congemi and Crescent City Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.